Teaching 103. Love each other. 1. Observe what happens when you leave what belongs to you on earth to come to hear my word or to go to mitigate some pain. When you return to your work or home, it seems to you as if someone had been there supplying you in your absence. And so it is truly, disciples, because it is I who watches over what you leave in the moments to occupy yourselves in the performance of your spiritual mission. 2. Take this as proof that when you leave this world to consecrate your existence to my service, I will remain watching over those you leave, whom I will cover with my mantle of peace, filling with my presence the void that you left in them. 3. Understand that I have been teaching you how to live in the world as children of God for a long time. Now I am preparing you to enter the spiritual life that awaits you after this work. Go through this existence fulfilling the mission that you have brought to earth, so that you can understand the meaning of spiritual life when you have entered it. 4. Do not flee from humanity on the thought that you are horrified by their sin. Yes, me you love. You will not stop loving me in your fellow men, now that the dangers and threats loom over men. It is when you must prove to me that you love them, that you feel their pain, and that you are ready to fight for the salvation of all. Have you not seen how I have always come to your aid precisely in the moments of greatest bitterness for humanity? 5. Watch and pray, people, your mission is defined. Therefore no one returns to me telling me that nothing could be done, because he ignored the purpose for which he was sent. Your works must be of charity, of unification, and of peace. 6. My new disciples, those who have listened to me in this time, have taken on the responsibility of extending my doctrine, making their works the best testimony of the truth that this teaching contains. 7. Thus, by living according to this word, they will have fulfilled the mission for which they were sent to this world, and their testimony will be taken as true. 8. In all times I have manifested myself in the people destined to spread throughout the world knowledge and faith in my divinity. People of chosen spirits, and not of a specific race, because they find them incarnated in one nation, as another, speaking one or another language. 9. Why should he grace the body of man with finery that belongs only to the spirit? Why should the Lord delight in only one of the races that make up humanity? 10. At this time the spirit of true Israel vibrates everywhere. It is the spirits that feel my presence, that await my coming, who trust in my justice. 11. When these words reach other places, many will scoff. But I tell you, it would be better for you not to make fun of them, because the time will come when they wake up from their lethargy and know that they are also children of God's people. 12. These crowds who listen to me today can fall into confusion if they do not study my word and if they do not shed their materialism. What happened to the early Israelite people, who heard the voice of the Lord, received the law and had prophets? So they came to believe they were the only beloved people of God. Serious mistake from which the great ones came to trials, humiliation, exile, and captivity. 13. It is necessary that you know that my love could not distinguish you by race or creed, and that if I speak of my people, it is because from the earliest times I find myself preparing spirits whom I send to earth to illuminate the path of humanity. 14. They have been the eternal walkers who have inhabited different nations and have passed through many trials. In this time they have found that human laws are unjust, that there is no truth in the affections, and that there is no peace in the spirit of humanity. 15. All of you have come to a new incarnation, and the pain is so great that you hurry, that you ask me to put an end to your existence. But I ask you, don't you know that you cannot cease to exist, and that if today you suffer on earth, will your spirit in the spiritual valley continue to live under the same test until it pays off its debts or learns the lesson? You are draining a very bitter chalice, because you are at the end of a stage and at the beginning of another. It is the harvest time in which you are reaping the harvest of what you have sown through the last day. It is necessary that this be so that when the lands are clean, I return to deposit in my sowers the seed of love, that well cultivated you reap the fruits of peace and redemption. 16. You were too sick and weak to continue walking. You felt that you had no support. You were looking for a light to guide you towards a safe harbor, and that was the moment when I arrived among you who were lost in the middle of the night, without knowing where you were going. I had heard your cry and sent Elijah to help you and announce my arrival. 17. My presence shook you with joy, and you were instantly comforted. O disciples, do not forget my lesson from this day. Today you have learned that everything you have reaped is the fruit of your works, and that after purification you will feel free and clean of imperfections. You see many signs that tell you about the great tests that are yet to come on your planet. And despite listening to me, you still don't want to understand me, and you haven't prayed. Recognize that it is a time of penance and of effort for you who know what is to come. You are on the threshold of a new era, and everything invites you to work. Behold the fertile lands, the unspoiled countryside, the pure and invigorating sun, and the crystal clear waters. All is suitable for you to live, breathe, and fulfill your spiritual mission. I speak to you in a figurative sense, and thus I present the future so that you may study my words and understand my desire as a father. 18. I do not want you to misinterpret my teaching and lock yourself in cloisters to pray, abandoning humanity. Work for her, bring her out of her ignorance and materialism, and kindle faith in her. 19. Live in grace, love justice, be merciful. Do not encourage evil. On the contrary, stop it by doing good to your brothers, and thus you will have prepared the way for the Spirit so that it does not stumble. Do all this without appearance as a sacrifice for you. 20. The tests that you have to pass, because nobody is exempt from them. Take them with patience, so you will be teaching your brothers perseverance in my law. 21. Unify yourselves. Do not ignore yourselves because you practice my doctrine in a different way. If you have distanced yourselves by this cause, seek your brothers and love one another, as I love you. 22. Just as I prayed in the Garden of Olives, so that the spirit of humanity would not be lost, so you pray for your brothers. I see what humanity has yet to cry to be purifying, but my mercy sustains and strengthens so that she does not faint on the way. 23. Disciples, in whom I have deposited the book of my word, strengthen yourselves from now on, so that you do not retreat when you hear a knock on a door and do not open it. Do not forget that I have told you to call in my name for the first, second, and third time, and that when you verify that your call has not managed to soften the attitude of your brothers, leave the cause to me and continue your way, without bitterness in your heart, and worse, wishing that pain would appear in those who did not want to hear you. Clothe yourselves with goodness, because you do not know on what day or at what time you have to knock on the same door again, or if they come looking for you. Only love and patience will be able to move the hearts of rock, and therefore you must be always prepared. 24. I tell you again that you should not act as judges in matters of your brothers. When my disciples, my emissaries and envoys are ignored, I will make my voice in the conscience of those who rejected my calls. That voice will be that of the judge. But you already know that in the judge my Father's love is always divine. Not so in you humans, who many times, when you become judges of your brothers, cease to show yourselves as their fellow men. You must remove from your heart all bad feelings, so you may reach out to the spirit of humanity with love. 25. Love not more the one who welcomes you and shows you faith than the one who does not accept your word. When you achieve this breakthrough, you can say that you are beginning to understand me and feel in your being. A force that will give you courage to resist the greatest tests that the world could hold you to. 26. About this teaching that I now give you, I already offered you an example in the second era. When Jesus was on the cross, the Redeemer agonized before those multitudes whom he had loved so much. Each heart was a door through which he had called. Among the mob was the man who ruled crowds, the prince of the church, the publican, the Pharisee, the rich, the poor, the wicked, and the simple of heart. And while some knew who it was that expired at that hour, because they had seen his works and received his benefits, others thirsty for innocent blood and eager for revenge, accelerated the death of him who they mockingly called King of the Jews, without knowing that he was not only king of a people, but that it was of all the peoples of the earth and of all the worlds of the universe. Jesus, directing one of his last looks to those crowds, full of tenderness and pity, he raised his supplication to the Father, saying, "My Father, forgive them, they know not what they do." 27. That gaze enveloped the one who cried for him as well as the one who enjoyed his torment, because the Master's love, that was the love of the Father, it was for all. 28. I tell you, disciples, in my law of love, that if you cannot do perfect works like those I did in Jesus, at least you strive in your life to get closer to them. It is enough for me to contemplate a little goodwill to imitate me and a little love towards your fellow men, so that I help you and manifest my grace and my power in your path. 29. You will never be alone in the fight. If I don't leave you alone when you are bent under the weight of your sins, do you think I abandon you when you walk under the weight of the cross of this mission of love? 30. Understand me, disciples, so that you can imitate me. Penetrate my works and my words, so that you discover the essence of my doctrine. I only await your preparation to indicate the moment in which you must get up, because I, through you, will bring the light of salvation to men. 31. Yes, beloved disciples, I am the vine. Take the wine of my grace. Tomorrow you will need to fight. Get ready now that you are sitting at my table, and when the hour strikes, you will not have hesitations or weaknesses. You will be my sowers, and you will imitate in your faith the men who cultivate the land, who sow the seed, putting all their trust, their conformity and hope in God. So I tell you, you do not know where the irrigation will come from your crops or the bread to your lips, but I assure you that you will lack nothing. 32. Do not forget that the triumph belongs to the persevering. Fulfill your mission in the earth, and when you have finished, you will be able to leave this world and immigrate to the place that I have promised you, which is the spiritual abode that is intended for the children of the Lord. Put your hope in eternal life. But ignore the materialists who believe that my doctrine, because it always tells you about the spiritual life, is an obstacle to the material progress of humanity. Pause medium. 33. Neither is he who believes that one must always think about death and reject what this life offers you, because it is perishable, that one has not been able to interpret my word. Rather, he doesn't even know them. 34. The first law that came to the understanding of man through consciousness was the one that told him, grow and multiply. But now I say to you this, that law is not only pointing to the multiplication of the species, but in that also of your gifts, virtues, and knowledge. 35. I teach you to go through the world leaving a work of love for those who come after you. Whoever does, he has set his eyes on the eternal. If your existence on earth seems brief to carry out a great work, do not fear that death will truncate your work, because it will not be so. Because my charity is omnipotent and I have the means that you take it to its culmination. I have given you a part in the creative work, in the work of evolution and in the work of perfection, and nothing can prevent you from reaching the end of your path. 36. Fulfill your mission in harmony with the Creator and with your fellow men, and in the end, when everything is finished, You will enjoy infinitely in the contemplation of the divine work in which you work with your Father. How big will that bliss in my spirit be, and what ineffable joy there will be in all my children. 37. I contemplate your thirst for love, your hunger for light, and the great need you have for me, and I, your Father, having within my reach all the means of making my voice reach you, I wanted to speak to you through human understandings, as a way accessible to you, to help you understand my spiritual messages. 38. Only my power has made the sinner become a spokesperson for my word. But whoever has put him in doubt, soon he has contemplated the transformation of the beings for whom I have given you my word. You have seen sprouting from a rude mind thoughts of infinite knowledge. You have seen the divine word blossom on the lips of sinners, full of light and tenderness. The spokesmen, tireless within this service and devoted to me, have allowed my spirit to express this message to humanity. 39. I have received large crowds, without distinguishing any of my children. Among them has been the same for the one who loves me, then the one who denies me, the same who believes in my presence within this form, then the one who doubts, and I have received them all with the same word of love and the same paternal caress. 40. In these crowds I have received the entire human race. Speaking to this people, I have addressed my word to all men, because my message has been for those of this time and for those of the future. When among these crowds men from other lands have come, I have received them with love, on behalf of their peoples, and I have prepared them to be emissaries and prophets among those who belong to you by race and language. And I have taught you to pray and watch over your peoples, making them guardians for times of trial are lurking. 41. My desire, which you must interpret as a divine command, is that you carry my word with all your heart where it is needed. That you do not forget that just as you came before my presence complaining of hunger and thirst, the whole of humanity finds itself in this hour in a true agony of the Spirit. 42. The day is near when men understand the importance the Spirit has, because many, believing they do not believe, and others seeing they do not see. But when they feel the truth, they will recognize that it would be childish, unjust, and foolish to continue worshiping with the fruits of the world a being that belongs to another life. Then they will look for the light in the religions and in their anxiety and anguish to find the truth. They will abolish the falseness of the doctrines and destroy everything superficial and external that they find in the various worship, until discovering the divine essence. 43. I want that when those times come, you find yourself with full knowledge of what is happening, and of the mission that you must perform. That is why I tell you once again, hear, analyze, and understand my word. 44. I thirst for your love. That is why I have approached you at this time, because it is not love that I have found among men, but sin and selfishness. 45. The men of this time have forgotten the examples and works that Christ left you as a testimony of his love. 46. You have not let that word be engraved in your hearts, because if you had truly kept it, you would keep in mind my promise to return to you, and you would have been watching and praying awaiting my arrival. But when I arrived, I caught you sleeping. Then I said, blessed are those who without reservation come to my call, because I will make them masters of great wisdom. Some came in good faith. Others hoped to be freed from the flesh to tell me, here I am, Lord, like the bird that leaves its prison and spreads its wings. So I come before you to fulfill your will. But my will, people, has been that from this world you affirm your steps in the spiritual path, because I want that body that I have entrusted to you to stop being a chain or a prison for the spirit. The spirit was not created to be a slave of the flesh or of the world. He is free. However, Spiritual ignorance and religious fanaticism have turned the spirit of man into a slave who, century after century, has dragged chains of darkness. 47. Now I have come to show you the way again, to sweeten your day with the flavor of my word, and to deliver to each one his cross of love, so that, under its weight, he may climb the mountain and consume his work on it. No one who is my disciple try to reach me without his cross, because he will not be recognized as an apostle of my doctrine. 48. There are many men who claim to comply with my teaching. Others who believe they love me, but their love is false. Why? They practice not my teaching, and because they have never lived in my law. I do not want you to be like them, but to come to truly feel love and charity. Don't flaunt what I have given you or what you do, although many times you feel that your heart explodes with joy in your chest, after having done a good deed or having made you worthy of merit. 49. My teaching is of humility. It reveals in a spiritual language the value or merit that each of your works must have to be taken in account to me. Truly I tell you that your spirit, with the light it has reached, already knows when a work is worthy or not to present it to the Father. This is the teaching with which I will sustain your spirit at this time. 50. Of the wine that is in this chalice, I will pour drop by drop on your lips until the day of my departure. But do not be sad, that just as you hear me, so my apostles heard me in the second era, when I told them, soon I will leave and you will I leave in my place, so that you teach your brothers. They had lived with me, they had suffered along with their teacher. They contemplated my works and heard my words. But they were not the only ones, because my life was public. And the same the humble, the poor and the meek of heart witnessed my word, that sinners, Pharisees, scribes, publicans, governor, minister, and centurion also heard. 51. To each one I spoke and gave my light according to their spiritual need. 52. Thus I have come to you at this time, speaking and manifesting myself in front of everyone and in broad daylight, so that each one takes the part that corresponds to him in my work and fulfills it. How beautiful will be the award you receive in your spirit when you leave the flesh. Make yourselves worthy of that award. But depart from the darkness of ignorance, so that you do not become wandering spirits, aimless among aimless. 53. Serve and love humanity, who is your sister, who is being tested by me in these moments of justice. See how there is not a heart that has not drunk the cup of bitterness. The pain is in all men at this time, but through him I will be sought, and through him men will feel the regret of having infringed my law. 54. There are those who wait for the return of the Messiah. But in what way do they expect me? Until when will you stop ignoring that I am again communicating with humanity? Truly I tell you that my light has reached all nations through my envoys, who came to humanity as forerunners of my third manifestation. 55. 7 nations will be chosen to make world peace and true brotherhood to exist among men. In them I will manifest. Today I have found them engaged in fratricidal wars, surrendered to their dreams of greatness and his insatiable ambitions for power. From this nation I will send a messenger of goodwill before the great peoples of the world to speak to them of peace. And when they have finished the war, the light of harmony and peace will reach their spirit. But this light she will not appear in the east or in the west. She will descend from my spirit to the spirit of humanity. 56. Prepare yourselves, so that those appointed to fulfill this mission may rise up in pursuit of the nations in the propitious moment, and when they have made my new word heard everywhere, the big tree will bring its branches, its shade and its fruit to all its children. Then you will redouble your fight and your zeal, so that my doctrine will not suffer adulterations, and so that, from the tree that I have entrusted to you, men ignorant and foolish do not go to cut branches, with the intention of making strange trees with them. 57. My work must be made known with the purity and perfection with which I have revealed it to you, without rites or forms. 58. When you contemplate its perfect, you feel unworthy of it and you ask yourselves, why does the Father chosen to reveal it to us? I tell you that despite the imperfections you have, your spirit, in its long journey has reached great evolution. But it is not now when you realize the greatness of this manifestation, but when I have lifted up my word from among you, then you will understand the good that you had and will be filled with joy for having had me among you. 59. Truly I tell you, at my table of love you have eaten and drunk, O beloved disciples. My peace be with you.